All right. Hey, and welcome back to Talk of Better Worlds. This is podcast number 22. So it is me, SirFelixTheCat, and we have Hawk. How are you doing?
I am good. How about you?
Wonderful. But we actually have a special guest today, someone that we've been trying to get on the show, and I'm glad they were able to show up. Today we have David McNiner. How's your day going?
Good, buddy. It's Saturday. I've been as productive as can be on a day off.
Yeah, I get that. I went to the farmer's market today. That's all I've done, really.
I did
besides install some games. Yeah, nest work. That's never going to end.
No, it will. We're getting there.
Yeah, 2027. It'll end.
Yeah, around there probably.
All right, so we're going to get into some news because I have some fun stuff to talk about today. I think only one bad story, I think. But let's get this going. Share window, screen. All right, so have you guys heard of the Super Sega?
I think I have, yeah.
It's a new emulator device. Well, not really emulator. It's a special console that this guy's making. And basically it's going to be able to play Master System, Genesis, and Sega Saturn. And right now it's in its Kickstarter prototype phase. And a lot of people got hyped for this when it was first announced. It seemed like it was going to be this great idea. We're going to be able to get all of our great old video games back and be able to play them, which, I mean, that's something to be excited for, game preservation.
Yeah.
Well, if you can see in this picture, let's enlarge this. That's what he has for the prototype right now. It's basically just some slots on a board. And so he put up this big, long video. This is the guy behind it. And I suggest going on and looking up the guy's video. He goes over the whole thing. There's a better view of the board. But what's kind of weird is when he gets to this part, when he's actually playing the games, first he starts with the first game. And when he goes to put it in, you see him struggle a bit with it, which is kind of concerning.
Yeah.
And then it does a quick cut, and then he's playing the game.
Nope.
And then it goes to the next video game. Same thing. He struggles for a bit, cuts, he's in the game.
Nope. I wouldn't trust him.
Yeah, right? Right? Once that happened, it's just dude, I don't know about this.
Nope.
I hope it's just because it's a flimsy board. He does just have it. It's a board on a box right now. So maybe that was giving him some trouble, but I don't know, dude. That's sketchy.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that at all, man. That anytime if it was one cut and then you saw him do it later, that'd be one thing. Or even if he struggled for a bit and then put it in and it's rough. I mean, look at the thing. It's a motherboard or a circuit board with stuff slapped onto it. I expect it to be rough, but with that many cuts every time he's supposedly changing games, no, I don't trust it.
Yeah. He does have hopes, or he says that there should be no problems with him actually listing it as the Super Sega, no copyright infringement issues, which that's kind of exciting. At least he got something to go through, and it's Sega, so it's cool that they're being nice.
Well, I mean, pretty much fusing all three into one. With the technology we have these days, I don't think that would be a hard thing to do.
It shouldn't be. I mean, so I have this thing. It's the FC Twin. It plays Super Nintendo and NES. And you just flip it between 16-bit and 8-bit. It's pretty simple. Which his looks similar to that. Instead of flipping a switch like you do on this one, it just pulls up a main menu screen and you choose which console you're using.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, with what we have today, you could absolutely do this probably pretty easily, but it's just little kinks you'd have to iron out, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've never slapped anything like this together. So hopefully it's true and he gets it working, I'm just skeptical of all things.
Yeah. Yeah. I do
actually have a Sega Genesis and Dreamcast.
Oh, nice.
And they still
I want a Dreamcast. I never got a Dreamcast back in the day, but I want one. That is the game. All right. So we have some bad news. So Netflix was trying to get into video games, and they were trying to like go beyond phone games. They were trying to go on to like actual console gaming. And so they created this like beautiful studio called Blue. And it had some heads. It was the former executive producer behind Overwatch, people behind Halo, God of War. Like it was an all-star team. And before they came and put a game out, they shut it down.
Do we know why?
Most people are just saying like, oh, it's got to be because of cost. Because Netflix finally realized like, oh, real video games take a just crap ton of money to make.
Well, okay. So we're doing the. I have a rant. I'm not going to go long. We're doing the series on modern gaming. Just kind of plugging that too. We're doing a series on modern gaming, the state of modern gaming from a bunch of different facets and different consoles and history. We're going over a lot of stuff. I have a lot of plans, but Netflix just threw a great opportunity out the window here with this, because it does cost an astronomical amount of money to make most AAA modern video games today. They could have done what people have been asking for years now and make more smaller games with really good people behind them, really good games, but they threw that away. So they don't deserve it.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, they're doing what Stadia did. Stadia's downfall was when they decided to be like, hey, we're going to close our studios because we don't want to offend these third-party studios that we're getting games from currently. And it's like, well, that just ended the console. That was the sign that, hey, it's done. It's over.
Yep. It's a shame.
Well, everything's going to start going to clouds now, isn't it? Like,
I mean,
you're just
at
going
least
to
Xbox.
like, I was going to say, like, Xbox is a prime example. So they're talking about deleting all consoles and everything's just going to be off a cloud, I actually have in the other room, I have an Xbox One and an Xbox 360. So, and I'm not getting rid of them because the main reason why is that there's a whole bunch of stuff saved on that 360 that I'm not going to be able to duplicate.
Yep.
There's nothing coming out anytime soon that's even close to it. Like me and my friends spend countless hours on Call of Duty, playing the zombies, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, like we survived. I think it was around 78. That's probably the best I've done.
That's
and
good.
It's not the I've heard of people doing like better, and I'm like, I don't know how they did better, but at that point you can't kill a zombie, guys. There's no way. You just shoot into the pack, you get some points, and you go use the traps. That's how you kill the zombies at that point. It was a whole lot of fun, and it was an incredibly long day. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox really wants to go to cloud, but like Sir Felix and I have talked about this before. It's a great idea if you have the infrastructure for it, and at least the United States and most of the rest of the world does not have the common infrastructure for people to just easily access games virtually only online. It's like you have to have pretty good internet. You sacrifice a lot of quality compared to conventional means that we're using at the moment. So it's probably going to happen at some point in the future where we have a more cloud focus in gaming. But I think that's it's further off than a lot of companies want it to be.
Yeah. Stadia had a good one, but yeah, it was very, very internet heavy. And even for me, who was using, like, I was plugged in directly to my Xfinity internet, which is like the best you can currently get, really. And I would still have issues once in a while.
Yeah, we're just not there yet.
Yep. Yeah, did you ever, David, did you ever play any RPGs on the 360? Like Dragon Age Origins?
No, I was mainly into racing and first-person shooter, like Battleground, Call of Duty, and anything oh my goodness, it's been so long since I've played. It was Need for Speed Underground was a big one for me. Yeah, I like playing that one a lot.
That was great.
The one that was closest to driving, I haven't actually played that. It's probably been almost 20 years since I played the Gran Turismo.
Okay,
That one. That one was the closest to actually driving a car out of any racing game I've ever played.
Yeah.
You know, I did occasionally play some GTA, GTA, but not enough to get into it. You know.
Yeah.
But yep.
Yeah, I've been playing Dragon Age Origins on and off lately because I have it. My stepson has Game Pass, so I'm playing off his Game Pass through the cloud on an emulator device. And so I'm playing Dragon Age Origins, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to get the full game here. It's on Game Pass because I can't buy the game. They don't have the DLCs for it on Game Pass. You just can't get it, so you just have to play the base game. It's like, why would you do this? Why not? Like, let me pay for it. Like, I'll go out of my way to give you extra money if you give me this content. I don't get that.
On top of that, there were a couple DLCs for Dragon Age Origins, but one of them was, I would say, very important to the story because it continues after the main storyline. And so to not have that, you're basically missing half the story, which is trash. I hate that they did that.
Yep. Well, let's talk about internet games. So, talked about a couple weeks ago, Nintendo Switch did the play test thing. It's still going on. It ends next week, the first week of November at some point. But they told everybody who's in it, like, hey, don't discuss or disclose the content. Right away, people jumped on Twitch and YouTube and started streaming the game.
Of course.
Like, didn't miss a beat. Just started playing it online right away, which is great. I mean, their stuff got like copyright struck and all that. But yeah, so everybody knows what this game is now. It's like, that's nice. They were very trusting. Like, oh yeah, we're not going to make you sign anything. Just please don't do it.
What if that was their intent, though?
It could be. I mean, I don't see why they'd want to really hide this game. I'm not going to go too much into it. I don't think it's a game for everyone. A lot of people probably just won't be interested in it. But me, who likes certain aspects of some games, like it was called Minecraft meets Death Stranding, and I can see the Minecraft aspect of it, and I like doing stuff like that. So for me, this game is great. It's completely cooperative. I don't think you can fight each other. They really want you to be cooperative, which is why they have so many people on it at once, trying to have you work as a team, essentially, which is pretty cool.
It's definitely going to fail then.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you know everyone you're on with, that might work out, but how often is that actually going to happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no way to mess with anybody else, which is interesting.
Well, like, dude, you could barely get 4 people to work together in Helldivers, man. Like,
well, that's the thing I've noticed is, without saying too much on it, people aren't really understanding you're working together. The things that I'm doing, I'm the middleman for every other player playing this game. I'm the one who like understands, oh, this is your goal, so do this. Most people are just like focusing on a little area of their own, and I'm like, no, we're gonna get the whole place, the whole area.
Well, yeah, we're talking about Gen Pop. Like, I mean, these are stupid people, man. Like, you gotta really hold their hand with all this, because nobody's gonna be like, oh, you have to work with each other. It's either me or kill. That's literally the mindset of the general player. So, I mean, if it's good, I hope it succeeds. But I definitely think they intended to do this.
Probably. Oh, I do have some kind of bad news, but it's not terrible. Half of this article is terrible, but the first part. So Ubisoft closed down the studio that made the Metroidvania Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is a fantastic little Metroidvania game.
Yeah.
But they just disbanded the team and they put them into other groups. The cool thing about that is some of those teams are coming back to make games that people want. There's going to be like Rayman games coming out. Some of those people that made the Prince of Persia game went to the Rayman team, which is awesome because we could get better Rayman then.
Kind of makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't like completely destroy them. They did it logically. But yeah, so Baldur's Gate guy says it properly. Ubisoft wants subs over sales because they had a game that sold, but they don't want games to sell. They want to do their whole new subscription plan of Assassin's Creed. What'd you call it the other day?
I forget what it's called. It's like a hub. It's a hub you're forced to go through. Infinite, I think it's called, or Infinity or something. Dude, they're gonna fail. They're gonna fail.
Yeah, with battle passes for single player games.
Yeah, so they have battle passes where you have to pay X amount of money for a specific amount of time. They prey on FOMO, and you pay for the battle pass, and then it lets you get stuff in the store, apparently, that they're going to have in there, and you have to have this pass to get more stuff from the store. It's everything that I've heard about this is such a god-awful idea, dude. They're going the way of Microsoft, and it's like they're trying to rely on Game Pass, their own type of Game Pass, and look where that got Microsoft.
Yep. Yeah, and plus they're like the games they closed down, like it was The Crew, right? That they shut down.
Yeah, they just deleted it. Like, it's done.
Yep. So we're gonna see Ubisoft going through some big struggles coming up.
I think they're already going through big struggles. I think we're gonna see Ubisoft go bye-bye. That's what's next.
Yeah, they've been around forever too. Because Rayman, I mean, I've been playing that since PS1.
That's old, man. Yeah.
Yep, it'll be sad. It'll be sad.
Will. In a way, yeah, it will.
We had game preservation took a big hit today. Publishers didn't want people to preserve their games because you can't make money off games that you're not rebuying. So the U.S. Copyright Office has struck down a major effort for game preservation. Basically said, no, you guys can't have this archive of preserved games. Because there was a whole group that's their job. They just go out. The Video Game History Foundation. They got told no. Yep.
Yeah, because they've been fighting for this for a long time. They're the number one people fighting for this at this point.
Yep.
God, dude.
And I can tell you one big player and who got it struck down.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they hate it. Yeah. They absolutely hate it.
Of course they do, dude. This is one thing that all these megacorps can get together on, because it's the whole idea like Ubisoft and Microsoft have. Like, why should we preserve games when we could just suck money out of you on a FOMO basis? But instead of doing it with just stores, we're going to do it with games now. Whole games. If you don't play this game between A and B time frame, you're never going to be able to play it.
Yep. Yeah, and they only want to do it with out-of-print video games. And they're saying around 87% of all video games released in the U.S. before 2010 are now out of print. Jeez. So the only way you're going to get it is secondhand market and paying just absurd amounts. Like, what was that game you played? You got it for PC. Lord of the Rings game.
Yep, Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle Earth. And I think I paid, wasn't it like $200 for it? I'm pretty sure. Like, I paid an insane amount of money for that game, but that's part of my childhood, man. Yeah. I needed that game.
Yeah, it's like Skies of Arcadia. Want to go buy a new copy of that or a used copy of that? It's a couple $100.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. Mobile Suit Gundam Federation versus Eon. That's I think it's like $400.
Yep. It is a shame. Our government just said, nope. Not going to have that.
What a shock. Our government sucks. Who would have thunk?
Yeah. The video game voice actor strike is still going on.
Good.
Yeah. It's going to... I don't know. I want to see how this is going to hurt games. I mean, I'll be glad when they get AI to not copy people's voices. That'll be great because they deserve... They're not like big actors. Like they deserve as much as the big actors do. Yeah. But they're just not treated the same way. And it's sad. They need the same contract they have.
Yeah, they're treated as secondhand. Like people, like especially actors and stuff, look down on a lot of VAs. And I detest that we have like major actors starting to do voice acting and other stuff. I don't want to hear Chris Pratt voice 300 different characters. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done. Let's get people... Same with acting. That's a whole thing. Get new actors, get new voice actors. I'm just tired of it.
Yep. Yeah, speaking of that, I was thinking about for James Bond, because now they're going back, like it's no longer going to be Aaron, whatever his face is. Now they're going back to it's going to be what's his face?
Idris Elba?
No, I drawn a blank on him. He played Geralt. He was
Henry
Superman.
Cavill?
Yeah, there we go. They're going back to him being the top pick.
The dude?
Yep.
I mean,
Which I mean, that would be cool to see him. I would. He wants that role badly. It would be cool to see him get it, but it'd also be cool to take someone new, just someone we don't know of, give them like this big career.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Cavill and everything, but yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's someone young too, because typically the James Bond movies just this goes back to what, the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had Sean Connery. You know, we've had some big actors in these roles, but pick someone unknown and young.
Yep.
And then, you know, the first movie to come out with, everyone's going to be like, who is this guy? But if he's good, then it's going to work out. And then you have a young person. So for the next 30 years, you have James Bond. It's going to be the same person. Right?
Yeah. Yep. That's what we need. And then David, so you have the 49ers channel.
Oh, yeah.
Do you watch baseball?
Sometimes I do. Right now it's the World Series and we got a classic going on with the Dodgers versus the Yankees. And I don't know if you guys saw that walk-off grand slam last night.
I went to bed at the top of the 7th inning, I think it was, when the Yankees had the bases loaded and Verdugo comes up, and I can't. He is a good player. He's a good fielder. I'll give him that. But whenever he needs to do well at the plate, he chokes. And of course, he did what I thought he did. He went up there, missed one, fouled another, and then struck out. It's like, come on, dude, come on. We could have had the game right there had you just hit it.
Yeah, and sportsba is not my thing. I mean, I like sports; they're cool and everything, but I'm not the type of guy to like buy a jersey or watch anything for longer than 30 minutes. So, sports-wise, anyway, they're cool. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I've never really gotten too much into them.
Well, I was also raging at the beginning of the game because we had Carlos Torres as the umpire, and this dude, oh my God. Like the whole, like Twitter was blowing up because of him, because everybody was just saying like, how is this the umpire? He missed 14 calls.
Jesus.
Like there were some, like it seemed a little biased at first because there were some like, dude is pitching way out. Like he's way out of the box. Strike. And it's like, how? So is a person like supposed to step over the plate and then swing? And that's how you get a hit? And then when it was the other way around, when the Yankees were pitching, there were some that were like still well within the range. Ball. So
my big thing with umpires is you got to be consistent. You know, if your strike zone's small, then it's going to be small the whole game. If it's big, it's going to be big the whole game. Just be consistent. This guy, however, is known for being inconsistent.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they have him in the World Series.
Yep. Yeah, that was very frustrating at the beginning. I rarely get upset while watching a sport, but I was yelling at my phone while watching this yesterday.
Oh, you turned into one of those guys?
I had to. Like, I was just like, how? How is this happening right now? We had our best pitcher, and they had their best pitcher. And they were both pitching terribly at the beginning. But it was just very one-sided how he was calling it.
That's okay. My wife and I have yelled like that at the Great British Baking Show, so it's I get it. It's serious stuff, man.
Yeah, I get that. That is all I had for news today. So today our topic is, I just called it Strange Encounters. I didn't really know how we wanted to touch this, but basically weird or paranormal experiences that we've had since it's Halloween. Might as well get into something a little spooky, supernatural.
Spookily dookily.
Yeah. So who wants to go first and talk about some experiences they had?
Well, I can. So since I've been a kid, I've always like seen things, heard things. I can't say specifically what, but like I'm walking through a church. I'm 7 years old, and in my peripheral vision, I see someone walking in the room, and I stop and turn. My mom's got my hand. She's like, "Hey, let's go. Come on. Like, why are you stopping?" I'm like, I was like, "Someone's in there." And she's like, "What?" So then she'd go walk in there, look around, and go, "There's no one in there. Come on." I was a kid, so it's just how parents do it, right?
Yeah.
But then, as life kept going, like I'm in my own house. My sister's downstairs. I'm watching TV, and the doorway is off to the right of the TV. So here goes someone walking, and I mean, that was just out of what I was looking at. So this isn't just peripheral vision. I was like, genuinely going, okay, who's this? So I get up, I search the house. All I found is my sister. It's like, what is going on there? My high school is actually, it's been around since the Great Depression. So, it's had some years. Mm-hmm. But there were many times that I'm in there after school for extracurricular activities, and you see a door closed down here, and you go, like, there's no one supposed to be in there. So you go look in there, and there's no one there. You hear voices talking at the end of the hall. There's no one there. Believe it or not, that school under it has a nuclear bomb shelters. Like, there's a tunnel system under it. And not many people know how to get into that. They've actually sealed it off ever since because of some people, getting down in there and getting caught. I've been down in there, and man, is that creepy.
Yeah.
There was like, there was actually food, I think, from the 60s, from what I saw from the dates down there. I was a teenager, but we refused to explore too far into it. But there were all kinds of like there was thick dust, but there was footprints in the dust. It honestly looked like at one point I'm like, does someone live down here? So we got on out of there. But ever since I was a kid, like even up to just a few years, like the place I worked at before the place I'm currently at, I would be working, and then I would look up in my peripheral vision. I'd see a guy in a flannel shirt and a cowboy hat standing there, and I'd look over and they'd be gone. I saw that same guy 5 times when I worked there. I don't know who it is, and that place was built in 1985. So it's not like it's been around forever, but then like camping though, this is, so my family, the McNew side, they live in Washington, the great state of Washington. And they've lived up there a long time. Like, I've actually visited the site where, that guy that robbed the airline and jumped off of it. His name escapes me. DB Cooper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually visited the site where he supposedly landed, stuff like that. But I went camping with them a few times up there, and there was this creature that I have been trying to identify. I heard it. Everyone else heard it, and they all just kind of looked at the woods like, oh yeah, and I'm just visiting from out of town. I'm like, what is that? They're like, I don't know, probably some critter. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I have spent countless hours searching sounds of animals in that area trying to figure out what it is. Nothing. Could it be Bigfoot? You never know. But I never figured out there's no creature in that area known to man that made that sound. I go camping a lot. Have you guys ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah,
I have. Yeah.
So before it was popular, I was younger. Me and my friends used to go down, and we would camp in the national parks that were around it, right? And there was quite a few times I had a dog with me, And it was a big, humongous, scary looking pit bull named Cookie. She wasn't mean at all, but we were just sitting around the campfire BSing, and she's off to the side of us, just staring into the forest. We were all like, I was like, guys, like, look at what she's doing. Everyone looks at her. They're like, and she normally when everyone looks at her, she looks back at them like, what? But she did not take her eyes off what she saw. So we were all like, okay, she sees something here, guys. So, we have weapons with us. So we grab our sidearms, and I put a leash on her, and I'm like, let's go for a walk. And she goes 5 feet and she stops. Like, I'm ahead of her. I look back and she stopped like, no, I ain't going that way. And, so we actually started hitting the forest with some spotlights, and there was something running around the tree line there. Light colored, did not get a good look at it, but it was running around right there. My dog was like, I am not going near that. This was a brave dog. This dog was no fraidy cat. She's like, I am not going out there near that. And it was like, wow. And this is in the area of Skinwalker. So then, that night we're all sleeping in tents. We didn't have trailers or anything. So that night, we all go to sleep, and I don't think my dog actually slept, because I woke up in the morning and she's still like sitting there, ears at attention, looking around. I was like, dang, really? So I walk out, it's daytime, there's nothing going on, can't see anything. I walked the area with a couple buddies just to search around to see if we could find anything. And all we found were these weird cat-like footprints. I say cat-like because it didn't have, like, how cats have claws in a certain pattern?
Yeah.
They weren't exactly that pattern. And yeah, there's mountain lions in Utah. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
There are. But it was like we tried to figure out what kind of animal would actually make that. Could it be a coyote? Could it be a wolf? Could it be? And we never actually figured that out. But then, we went camping back there though several times, guys. This isn't just a one-time thing. We went there, but we went camping back there several times. And the next time, my dog wasn't afraid to run around. But then that's when we heard something similar to what I heard in Washington, but a different sound coming from the mountain that was probably 3 miles from where we were camped. And we're all just like looking up there like, what could have made that noise? Could it have been a coyote getting caught in a trap? No, because coyotes don't sound like that. It was high-pitched. It was kind of like a high-pitched human yell, honestly, is what it sounded like. So, and we were all just looking up there like, what in the world is that? So there were quite a few of us. So we were a pretty big group. Whenever we went up there wasn't just 2 or 3 of us. There was always somewhere between 8 and 12 people, typically several dogs. And like I said, my dog wasn't staring into the forest this time. She wasn't afraid to run around and, go for walks and stuff like that. So whatever it wasn't getting close to us at this point. But we heard a different noise. And then the next night, we heard that noise again. And then we see like some weird light flutter like over the mountain, kind of, like if you're camping, where the light pollution is not, and you can look over and you can see the light pollution around the mountain. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It was kind of like that, but it wasn't constant. It kind of fluttered a little bit. So we were all like, huh, that's weird, So the next time we went, we actually camped closer to where Skinwalker Ranch is. And by then we all had cell phones. This is the age of starting here, right? And I had that same dog. I had that dog for 15 years. So I had the same dog. And, this is for some reason, our flashlights, the batteries died. Right? So we were like, huh, like I just put batteries in this. Why did the batteries die? So then we checked our cell phones. They were dead. We went to the cars to start them. They were dead. What actually, is there a scientific like magnetic field or something that could cause this? You know, we're all sitting there going, we're up in the middle of nowhere and we got nothing to help us here. So, you know, it was a long, my friend brought his bike, luckily. So he rode down the trail to the road and found us some help, you know. But yeah, all our batteries, all our electronic devices died. And it was like, we didn't even know about Skinwalker Ranch at this point. It wasn't a thing yet, you know? So we're going, wow, what is going on here? But at that night, though, you know, after we found all our batteries were dead, that night there were some strange lights in the sky, you know, and it's like Skinwalker Ranch is known for some pretty weird stuff. You know, it's called Skinwalker Ranch because of what people have seen around there. That could have been that light-colored creature, you know, my dog didn't want anything to do with. But there's also some alien activity above the ranch. I mean, it's a very weird spot. So that was the last time we went camping up there because we didn't want to, you know, experience that stuff again. But then many years later, we go to this place called Eagle Mountain. And this is I mean, driving there, it would take me 35 minutes from where I'm sitting right now to get to the dirt road, though. The dirt road. Then it's another 40 minutes on the dirt road. And you end up on top of a mountain, and there's a clearing that's perfect for camping, you know. And I've always camped. I typically camp in a clearing where the tree line's pretty far away, because when you're up in that area, you know, critters, you're not necessarily the top of the food chain at this point. There are bears, cougars, wolves. Moose are more dangerous than you think.
Oh yeah,
okay? They are. So, you know, we go up there and we're camping, and the night, you know, we didn't see anything weird. Dogs didn't act funny, anything like that. But that night, my dog lets out a bark, wakes me up. I was like, huh? Like, what in the crap's going on? So, you know, and I was like, what are you barking at? And, you know, I was listening, and I heard something running away. We were like, what in the crap is that? You know? So I get out, and I had spotlights at that point from the previous experiences. We started bringing spotlights with us. So I started spotlighting all over the place. I saw like eyes reflecting back at me. You know, typically raccoon eyes, but raccoons should be close to the ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one was roughly around 6.5 feet off the ground. So I was like, could that be like a bear standing up or something? And I focused my light over there again. My buddy come out the tent, and he did. I'm like, look right there, man. Try to hit that from a different angle. He hit it from a different angle, and all we saw was a creature that blended almost perfectly in with the trees run back into the forest. We were like, was that a bear? We went looking for tracks, and we couldn't find anything. That was the weird part. A bear, they're typically pretty heavy. Yeah. The ground up there is very soft. So it would definitely have left some sort of sign of it being a bear. But then we were both like, huh, that's interesting. And we stayed up there for about 4 nights. So the next night, it was almost the same thing, but the dog didn't bark this time. This time she nudged me in my head. And I was like, now the dog was probably about 9 years old at that point, maybe 10. So, you know, they get intelligent as they get older, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. You know, she just nudged me because she doesn't want to make a sound. So grabbed a sidearm, chamber it, and I'm listening to something walking around the camp. So I was like, all right, that could be one of the guys, one of the gals, you never know. So I unzipped my trailer, the zipper on my it was my tent, but the zipper on my tent was loud enough to the point where whatever it was took off running again, and it was like, and I got my spotlight out immediately and was pointing it where I heard it running to, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing, and was gone. And I wasn't the only one that woke up though. There was a few people that woke up to it rustling around and scampering off.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all asking me, because I'm the first one out the tent, what was that? I'm like, I didn't see. Like, I tried. I got out here as quick as I could, but I didn't see. So the next day, that was night 2. So we're on, day 3 here. The next day, we spent a lot of time exploring the whole area and hiking, like, all around. Pretty much all day we were hiking, just trying to find what could this be. Is there a sign of anything? We found some bear tracks, but they weren't close to the camp. We found some cougar tracks. Weren't close to the camp. Didn't find anything wolf, which is kind of strange for that area. That area does have wolves. So that we found that kind of strange. And so, coyotes too, actually. That area has coyotes, and I never heard or seen any. So we're like, well, there's absolutely nothing around, not even a cave. You'd figure there'd be a cave. Maybe there's bear in that cave, right? But not even a cave. So we're like, all right. So we worked our way back to camp. And at that point, like, something got into our coolers, our food. We didn't put it away in the vehicles and lock it like we normally do, just so raccoons don't get into it. And it wasn't raccoons. So something got into our food, ate our meat, left all the vegetables and took off. There were no footprints. No sign of whatever it could be. And we were all like, uh-oh, that's day 3. So we were vegetarians, the night of day 3 into day 4 here. Had no choice, But so that night, we actually didn't hear anything walk up to us. We heard some loud sounds in the forest around. We couldn't sleep very well at that point because of what has happened. But we heard some loud sounds around, and we're all like looking at each other like, what in the crap is going on here? Like, could it be moose, bear, cougars, wolves? Who knows, right? But it was just a whole lot. It seemed like the wildlife was stirred up, is what it seemed like, So, day 4 come around, and we did end up spending the night one more time. Day 4 come around, and we go start looking around again, and there's some broken branches. There's some stuff that we didn't see when we were exploring the day before. And typically, if it's a bear, you will see, the bear scratching. You will see some fur, right? Something. But there's nothing, And these branches weren't just, close, low to the ground. These were about 6-7 feet up. So it was like, what, I don't know what caused that, So that night, again, we didn't sleep very well. It was incredibly quiet, though. Like, you ever had one of those nights where it's too quiet?
Yeah.
We didn't hear any wildlife. We didn't hear anything. It was eerie. It was eerie all night long. None of us could sleep. By the time we drove back on day 5, we were dead, But it was like, we've never actually gone up there again, since because of these issues.
Mm.
And I mean, never figured out what it could be. The fact that we couldn't find a footprint, and the guys I go up with, they all hunt. So these guys are, trained to go tracking critters. You know, it's what they do. So if they can't find anything, you know, what could it possibly be? Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen some weird stuff, you know, like around that Skinwalker Ranch area, but we were about 50 miles from that area, which isn't close enough to actually be affected by anything going on at Skinwalker Ranch. And we're at our friends actually own some property, and it was like a vacation spot, you know, but we're all camping up there. And the sound that I've been looking for, you know, that I heard when I was in Washington, right?
Yep.
Countless hours trying to figure out what that is. Came up again. This is in Utah, eastern Utah, about mid. And I heard that same sound. I know the sound because, I mean, this is the type of stuff you do not forget, you know. And I heard that same creature making that sound again. I was like, oh my goodness. You know, by then my dog Cookie had passed away. You know, and I had another dog with me. But she was just like looking in the direction of the sound, like, huh, well, what's that? You know. But she was the type of dog you can't take for a walk. Like, you put her on a leash, she's sit down. I'm not doing nothing. Take me off that leash. You know?
Same.
So I couldn't take her up because if I took her up with me, she could possibly take off running after whatever it is, you know, and I can't stop her.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go hunt or search to find out what that was, but it was the same sound. And this is like, I don't know, probably 900 miles difference. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there is something in the woods, folks. You know, all you can do is be aware of your surroundings. And you don't necessarily chase after what it is. I'm going to say that right now. You got to be safe.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think there's stuff. There's stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff we don't understand, and in the places where people don't often go, there may be things out there that are probably pretty creepy. What they are, I don't know, but I think there's stuff out there.
Oh, there's Steve-O. What's
Yeah.
up, bud?
But yeah, yours sound crazy. Like I haven't had anything in that sense. Like I've gone camping, but it's just been mild, tame camping spots, like camping grounds and whatnot. Never had anything fun like that. I would be interested to see it. I call it fun because I do want to be in that situation for some odd reason. Like I want to experience it. I mean, I would probably be terrified, but I want to be there for that.
Yeah.
You know, the experiencing it definitely makes you keep on your toes when you're like in the wilderness, you know.
Yeah.
I go camping deep in the Uintas, you know, typically in areas like they have a whole bunch of lakes up there. There's a Lake Whitney. I'll go up there, and you know, there's enough people around to the point where I don't what if there's anything up there, it doesn't come close, you know. But you know, the years later though, when Skinwalker Ranch became a thing, you know, me and my friends were all like, dude, we used to go camping around that. Like, there were times we actually walked up to the border of the property. That's how close we were to Skinwalker Ranch camping. So, and it wasn't a thing at that point, though. No one really knew about it. You know, now it's a, you know, well-known, documented, all kinds of people, paranormal and, you know, alien hunters, more or less, you could say, right? Have been up there trying to, you know, figure out what's going on with the place, and they can't. You know, it's one of those unknowns, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, What about you, Sir Felix? Have you?
So-
What do you have?
Mine are more like ghost related. So I grew up in I grew up with my grandparents for the most part. Their house was haunted, and it's very weird. There's some things, like how you were saying, like sometimes you'll see something maybe out of the side of your eye, but then you might see it like directly in front of you. The way the house was shaped, it was kind of like an awkward shaped circle. Like the hallway went, you can go from the kitchen to the living room, by the bedrooms, down a long hall to the back bedrooms, and then back to the kitchen. The whole thing looped. And when you're going through the halls, you would sometimes see what looks like black hair pulling back around a corner, which I thought I was crazy at first until my sister confirmed she saw it too. You also had this feeling that as you're going down the hall, there's something there wanting, like following you, chasing you in a way, but it's not like a weird, like, oh my God, I'm going to die way. It's more like you feel like something's trying to play with you, which was just bizarre. That's the most mild thing we saw. Another time, me and my sister, I was probably like 12, maybe. We were both in the living room, and my grandpa was a very friendly guy. And he was usually like happy-go-lucky, had a smile on his face for the most part. And he was coming out of the kitchen back into the living room, and he had a smile on his face like normal. He takes a couple steps through the dining room to the living room, and his expression changes just instantly. He had a smile to a straight face, looking kind of angry, and his eyes go black. And it happened for maybe one step. And we're both watching him, and we're just like, what the hell was that? Like, how can this happy guy just suddenly eyes go black, looks pissed, take another step, back to normal, like nothing ever happened? Which was terrifying. That one stuck with us. We had the man in the hat, which we don't know what that was. My sister thought it was our great grandfather, who had kind of like almost like a bowler's cap back in the day. But I don't think he was ever at that house. He lived in, it's not Oklahoma, Pixley in California. And I don't think he ever went to the house, but she thought it was him. I just knew it was this black silhouette of a man, essentially, with that hat on, which we would see him every once in a while walking in different parts of the house. Another thing is the bedroom I used to stay in. If you walked out the door of the bedroom, off to your right-hand side was a bathroom, and the left-hand side was a wall. Well, if you have the door closed and you just sit there and watch it, you would see the shadow of a person standing right at the door. Like you would see the shape, like the outlines of the shape of feet at the door. It would turn and walk to the left, which made no sense. There's a wall there. How is this thing going from standing there, walking left? We thought it, like at first, the first few times I saw it, I was like, oh, it's just my grandpa probably coming to see what I'm doing. But again, he can't just walk through walls, which was bizarre. That happened a lot. Things would move on their own, not with us watching, but you set something down in one room, you'll find it in another room. Like one situation, I was playing a PS2 game. It was The Godfather. And it was messing up on me, and I rage quit, put it in its case, and I chucked it against the wall. The next day, me and my buddy go to get it. Like I was like, hey, can you help me move this dresser so I can get the game? And it wasn't there. And he was like, well, did you already pick it up? And it's like, no, how I can't. This dresser weighs like, over 100 pounds. There's no way I'm pulling this out by myself and getting it. A couple days later, I go into a bedroom on the other side of the house, and there it is, sitting on my bed, or sitting on my old bed, which that kind of freaked me out. No way to get back there. There's no way my grandpa would have gone back there to pick up a game he had no clue about that it was even there. He doesn't go in that room. That he never went into my room. What else do we have? At another house with my at my stepdad's house when we first moved in there, and I've never told them this story. My mom's probably listening to this and she's going to be shocked by this. One time me and my sister were playing around. I went into my room and I hid under my bed, and I'm just laying there on the ground. And I was probably down there for about 2 minutes, but while I was down there, I kind of like blacked out for a second, and all I could see was this body laying there, this dead body just bleeding out, laying there. I was on my stomach. It was on its back. I don't know what happened there. I never laid under that bed again. I still stayed in the room, never had any other experiences, but that terrified me.
Ugh.
A more recent one that I had would be, so me and Hawk used to live in the same nest, used to, share the bird bath together. It was a great time.
It was a big nest.
Yeah. But, so we would both hear things in that place.
Yep.
Like people walking down our hall. And it's just the two of us. Like every once in a while he'd get up in the morning and be like, hey, were you walking around at night? And it's like, no, I was out cold. But if we were up late enough, we would hear someone clearly walking through the hall. And there was nobody above us. There was nobody below us. There's no way that sound could be made by anybody but us.
Yeah. Well, often we thought, because like I'd be in my room, you'd be in your room. And like most of the time, I think neither of us came out or thought anything of it because we each thought it was the other.
Yeah.
Like I'd think it was you or you'd think it was me. But yeah.
Yeah, and then there's one morning I have this issue of I like to get to work just several hours early for some reason. Like I work from home now, and I'm on my computer by like I have it up and going by 6:30, and I don't start till 8. I just make sure I'm ready to go crazy early. But so I'm getting up, and it's this is back when I was still working in the office. It was about 5:30 that I got up in the morning. And I'm walking down the hall, and our front door was through the kitchen. And I get right to the entry from the living room to the kitchen, and all I see is something standing in front of our door, like it's on our side. I'm 6'4". This thing was taller than the doorway, but I can see its outline through the light coming through the door. So this thing had to be like 7 foot at least, just chilling there. Gave me the fright of my life to where I jump back, start looking for a light switch, look back again, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But there was clearly, like, there's no doubt in my mind, there was something standing right there. And I'm not like the person who has like blurry vision for things like that. Yeah, I'm not the greatest in the dark, but I can clearly see something blocking out light.
Yeah.
That one was terrifying. That's all I could think of is back to when I was a kid. Even that was up through my teen years. I was with my grandpa until I was 20, I think. Yeah, because I moved to Colorado when I was 20, or right before I turned 21. So I was still seeing those feet at that, like underneath my door up to the age of 20. So it's not just like some little kid imagining things. Then there's another one with going back to my grandpa and the black eyes. And if anybody doesn't like language, you're just not going to want to listen to this part. Just mute it for a couple minutes or skip ahead. So my grandpa did have a foul mouth. Like he was a military. He was an army cook, and he worked at a port being a longshoreman. So he swore like a sailor for the most part. But and he would sometimes talk in his sleep, which was nothing because it sounded like my grandpa. It was his voice. I knew who was talking. One night, and I called my buddy, like I was getting ready to go to his house. Like it was late at night, probably about 10:30. I'm getting ready to go to his house. And suddenly I hear someone, and it's not my grandpa. This voice is just super deep. And given the house was a giant circle, you could usually tell where the sound's coming from. But for this, it sounded like it was coming from every angle of the house. And all I hear is, "You motherfucker. I see you. I see what you're doing. Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Yeah, I'm gonna kill you, you motherfucker. You son of a bitch." And it went on for about 15, 20. Like, I was terrified to go out of my room. I opened the door, and once I heard it was like so loud, just through the whole house, couldn't tell if it was coming from his bedroom, living room, kitchen, the hallway, or just one of the other rooms. I closed the door. I went back in. I'm calling my buddy. I'm like, dude, what is this? And I open the door. I have it on speakerphone, and I stick my phone out the door, and he hears it. And he's like, "What? Who is that?" And this is a guy who's also known my grandpa for like many years at that point. No clue what was happening there, but that was clearly not his voice. Way too deep. Yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what was going on there. I used to also see this boy in a purple shirt, which was not there, because one time I asked my sister, like, "Who is that kid?" And she looked around. She's like, "Who are you talking about?" And it would be one of those things like, he's over here. I talk to her. I'm like him, and there's no one standing there. That happened several times. When I would see him when we're walking home from the bus stop, he would be across the or the street underneath the underpass, basically just standing there watching us. But when I would look back, he's gone again, just instantly gone every time. He would show up there several times. He showed up at my school once. Never did anything, just kind of stood there watching people. Which, yeah, and that one made me think I was crazy. That was a fun one. That was when I was in the 8th grade. I've gone places that are haunted too and never experienced anything. Like I went to some insane asylum in I think it was West Virginia, and the most we heard were some footsteps. Which my buddy that I was with, he took a can of soda or a bottle of soda and started pretending to be a guard. And he was like, "Okay, you guys have been pretty good, but I only have one soda, so whoever's gonna get it, go ahead and have your treat." And he rolls it down the hall, and it's quiet for a minute, and then from like 2 or 3 rooms, you hear like a few footsteps, and it's like, what the hell? Which that was trippy, but that was the most we got. There was no feeling of anybody being there. They locked us in like these cells at one point, or like the solitary rooms, and nothing. Like, it didn't feel like anything. Some people said they felt like they were being grabbed, but I think that was just their heads because they're in a completely pitch black room.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, I thought I was pretty like attuned to these things, especially with the things I had seen growing up until that point. But yeah, there's nothing there that I saw. But and that was something that the Ghost Adventures covered at one point, like the most haunted asylum. It was not, at least not in my opinion. But yeah, that's most of mine that I could think of off the top of my head. It was all paranormal, ghost related stuff that has just stuck with me forever, especially my grandpa. Like his deep voice, that was freaky.
Yeah, that's weird.
My mom's experienced some stuff too. I can't remember the story, but I feel like she saw or heard a dead relative, and they was calling her by because my mom's name is Carolyn, and they were calling her Caroline, which some family member did. Can't really remember the full story. She told me years ago. But yeah, so every time I would tell her these things happened, she pretty much believed me, and I usually luckily had my sister to confirm these things because she would see most of them too. But yeah, I think that's all I have right now.
Yeah. I mean, with the place that we lived at, I'd say it was built in like the 1850s, 1840s, if I'm not mistaken. It's cause just to like further back that up with the stuff at that place, because I experienced stuff there too, and my wife did too. After you moved out, Sir Felix. I mean, there's some stuff there. But it was built in the 1840s or 50s. It was a house first, and then it was turned into a hotel. So each of the rooms in our apartment it was 3 hotel rooms effectively that they converted into an apartment. And there was a hallway linking 2 bedrooms, living room, and then it went to the kitchen. And bathroom was attached to the kitchen. It was small but big enough. It was nice. But you'd hear someone walking down that hallway pretty often at night. And then I don't know if you had this at all, Sir Felix, but I would see it. My wife would see it often. You'd catch
the person in the
black. Well, not the person in the kitchen. No, you'd feel that a lot. I never personally got that. I think I felt more in the bathroom, but we have a little black cat. Her name is Bloop. She's the best thing on the planet. So she runs around sometimes and it's whatever, but sometimes she'd be on my lap. Well, often she'd be on my lap, or she would be on the couch that I had in one of the rooms, and I'd be there at my desk, and I would catch like a shadow that looked like it could be her, very small black cat, the black amorphous blob that you'd just see it dart across the room out of the corner of your eye, or come around a corner, or go under your desk, or maybe go around into the kitchen instead. Like you'd see this little black shadow darting around sometimes. Did you ever see that?
No.
It was weird, dude. It was weird. And I don't know what it was. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, imagine like a very fast little black cat, but not in the shape of a cat. Just like you barely perceive the animal fly somewhere, like just run by. That's what we saw a lot. The walking in the hallway kind of stopped after you moved out, though. It was nowhere near as prevalent. I think I maybe heard it once or twice, but that's it. Because it was every other night almost. You know what I mean? See,
and that could be partially my fault. So the one thing they tell you to do when you leave these like haunted places, when you're on the official tours, they tell you it's best to like say a blessing and to like say, you know, don't follow me, don't attach to me. And I'm a smart ass. So of course I walk out of the place and I'm like, come into my soul.
Oh God.
Yeah. It was just probably a dumb thing to do, but I mean, might as well have some fun.
So you brought shit in. That's what that was. No, I've always been really good at feeling that kind of stuff. Like that, always. My mom's the same way. If you get it from anybody, I probably got it from her. But it's to the point where like her and I have both walked into a house or walked into a place, and immediately you know, like something happened here, something's here. Something's wrong. And outside of that apartment, I lived in another house that was actually built even earlier than that. It was the early 1800s. It was my mom's house. They had square nails in the floor. Like we're talking like old place. I think it was the second oldest house in the county that we lived in at the time. But that place was attached to a funeral home / morgue that was no longer operational. It had turned into another house. So the basement of this place was like a cave. It was effectively carved out of stone instead of actually being like a typical foundation basement that you see in houses today. And I could not spend more than a couple like minutes in that basement without feeling like somebody was watching me. That was always one of the creepiest things. I hated that basement, even from childhood. But there was one time, and I wish I still had it. I actually asked my mom if she could dredge this up from the decrepit halls of the internet and Facebook to see if she had it. But I took a picture of myself one time back in my emo days. It would have been fun to show off. But I took a picture of myself in the bathroom, and I had put it on Facebook or maybe even MySpace. And my one friend at the time was like, "Dude, what's that behind you?" I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, "This picture, what's that behind you?" And you look at it, and there's what almost looks like a black and white face of a woman over my shoulder in that picture. And that messed me up because there was stuff that happened in that house that was just like, okay, what's going on? I'd spend time downstairs. Sometimes it was a 3-story home. So my room was in the 3rd story. I would spend times downstairs, and you'd hear what sounded like, the murmur of a restaurant or the murmur of like a train station with a bunch of people in there, any crowded place, that murmuring that you hear in those crowded places. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would hear that, but very faintly in the floor above you or the floor below you. Like there was a crowd of people talking wherever you weren't. You'd hear that quite often. It was weird. There was this woman who showed up in that picture, and then also you could hear her at times, like what you thought was a woman talking, or you would see something. And then there was this, there was a lot of voices that you'd hear there. There was what sounded like the voice of a little girl. And you would just hear someone say a word or laughing or crying. And my buddy and I at the time, we recorded some stuff, and we thought we got a legit EVP with this girl on there. I wish I still had it. Ooh. Like 5-6 phones ago, but we held out a lighter because we both smoked at the time. So I held out a lighter, turned it on, and we told her to like blow it out. And nothing happens for a bit. And then you see the flame move like someone blew on it. It didn't go out, but it looked like someone blew on the flame. So that happened. And then, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's been like, I've gone to those like, penitentiaries and asylums and stuff like that before too. There's a lot of them where we live. Yeah. It's a great place. But I've gone to a lot of them, and I haven't felt a single thing in any one of them. Anything. Right? I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything. I haven't felt anything. I think they're duds.
Yeah.
But
yep, that's how I feel with them. Like Eastern State Penitentiary. That one's supposed to be most haunted penitentiary in the East Coast. And legitimately, it just feels no different than being like at the library.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like I've felt more stuff at churches than anything else, actually. Mm-hmm. Like it's there's this weird vibe, we'll call it, with churches that oh Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know. Churches have a weird vibe to them. And I know the one I don't go to church at this point, but I used to long ago. And there was this church that was in a small city near where we live, closer to Sir Felix at this point than me. But there was a nice old church that was on one of the main streets there. And you would hear people walking around when nobody was there, because I spent a lot of time there when I was a kid at night, and I did like different group stuff. I played the drums for the church for a bit, and you would hear people walking around all the time when there weren't people there. You'd hear that murmuring or people talking and stuff, or like whispers and everything where there weren't people there. Most of the stuff that I've experienced was in that really old house from when I was a kid, and then that specific church, but I felt off in other churches too.
Yeah, the most common for voices, I've had people, like there's been times where I'm home alone and suddenly I hear my wife calling for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'll go upstairs and just be like, where are you at? And then there's times I've texted her and been like, are you home? No. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, man, that's
awesome.
Creepy.
Like it's one thing if you hear it once, but when you hear your name called multiple times in a row, that's when it's just like, what really is going on here?
Yeah, the voices creep me out, dude. I do not like hearing stuff like that. Like when you hear somebody and nobody's there. Actually, The new house that I got, this happened twice. Once to me, once to my mom at the new house, the new nest that we have. So like I would be the only one here, and it sounded like my parents had just pulled up and started talking on the way walking up to the house. And I'd go out because we're still living in one room and we're working on the rest of it. So I'd go out of the room and I would be like, oh, hey, what's up? And nobody's there. And then my mom had that happen too, where she thought she heard me, but I wasn't talking. I wasn't doing it. But she says she heard me and I wasn't there. I wasn't talking. So that's happened here. I don't know what that's. Oh, and sometimes you smell cigarette smoke, and it's always in two spots so far. and it's random. Nobody here smokes. Nobody here smells like smoke. Nobody would bring in smoke. We've ripped up half the walls and floors, so it's not that. But it's almost like someone was standing there with a lit cigarette for like a minute and then walked away. It's not like they stood there and smoked the whole thing. Doesn't smoke up the whole area, but it's one area in the walkway between the living room and dining room, and then one area in the laundry room that it's like someone stood there for a minute with a cigarette, and that creeps me out.
Yeah. I've had that cigarette smoke here too. And it's if it's in my bedroom and I have the window open, okay, it's the neighbor. I get that.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the kitchen and there's no doors or windows open, why do I randomly smell it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm way far away from neighbors. Like, you could see my neighbors and everything, but no house is near enough to mine to be able to smell that. And if I smell that from someone around the house on the outside, they're like literally right outside my walls, and there's a different problem. So like it's not that. And I've been out, we've been working on everything. Tons of people have been here working and everything. None of them smoke. Nobody brought smoke in here. And then I smelled it in the car too. Get in the car and it's like, what is this?
Someone's just been chilling in there, hotboxing it with cigarettes.
I mean, I hope, but also don't hope that's it. It's just like, what the hell, man? It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell another one. I forgot about this one. So, dolls and mannequins are probably some of the creepiest things on earth.
Yeah.
They just are naturally creepy. So when I was younger, my grandma got me an old Cabbage Patch doll.
Ooh.
And from the day she got it, she like would because it started when I was young, like super young, like 6, 7. She kept it in the corner on top of like my other like toys and whatnot that I had. And any night that I didn't like take it and hide that thing, like put it in the closet, move it to a different room, I would hear things. I would see things. So we kept my door open. I would see like things walking through the living room. And I know like my grandparents' room was right outside my room. So I would clearly see them come out of their room should it be them. But it's like people walking around or things moving around in the living room.
Oh God.
And I would have like these terrifying nightmares, just absolutely terrifying nightmare. And it was the same recurring nightmare. And it played out the same way almost every single time. Like I, in the dream, would try to do different things, but it would always end up the same way. And it's super weird because I don't know how to explain this where it makes sense. In real life, my dad had a werewolf mask, like a pretty good looking werewolf mask. And he used to try to scare that with us. And we knew it was him, and it was like scary, but funny at the same time.
Yeah.
But, and he also didn't drink, like never drank beer, alcohol, anything. But in this nightmare, it would be him, but you can look at his face and clearly tell it's not him. Like things are wrong with his face. It's not him. Like his forehead would be a little more like pushed out, like almost caveman status with how far it extended out.
Yeah.
Like a little bit slack jaw. His cheekbones were more narrow. And he would be drunk off beer, and he'd be walking around with a beer. And then he would put on his mask. And the thing is his mask, if you try to pull on it, wouldn't come off. Yeah. But from that point on, he would try to kill me and my sister.
Oh.
Which, yeah, it made no sense because my dad's a super, super friendly guy. Like, wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah, I met him. Yeah.
Well, no, my actual dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Stockton. He like generally a polite, nice guy. And yeah, it was just super weird, and it took me months to figure out. Like I had months of nightmares straight of the same nightmare over and over and over and over until I finally connected the dots. Yeah, I connected the dots that whenever I see this little thing, the nightmare happens and I see things. And I also swear it's one of those like Cabbage Patch dolls. They don't have moving eyes. They're painted on their face.
Yeah.
But it would look at me.
Ooh.
It would legitimately be looking at me. I see how my grandma puts it, and it should be facing the door. But instead, it's facing my bed. Which, yeah. God, I hated that thing.
I hate
absolutely hated it.
Ugh.
And then
that's creepy.
My mom had one too. This old doll that was the weirdest thing ever. So at one point we were living in this like not apartment. It was like we rented 2 rooms from this guy who gave piano lessons.
Yeah.
And in the room that we basically used as a living room, in the closet, she had this old like China doll where like you lay it back and its eyes closed type thing.
Mm.
And we kept it in the closet, and it was kind of like leaned back a little bit. So it's like eyes looked like it was stoned with the way it sat with its eyes. And if I ever went to go open that, it's leaned forward and sometimes falling down.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I hated that one. But that one always, like, I didn't like to open that closet. And that's not just because that doll was going to fall or like lean forward, but that doll just gave off some awkward vibes. And I think she still has this thing somewhere at her house now, which is creepy. But yeah, that was probably the most terrifying doll besides the Cabbage Patch.
Yeah, dude, I hate dolls. I don't want any kind of dolls like that anywhere near me. That shit freaks me out.
Yeah. Yep, I'm good off them. I'd rather get a mannequin. Yeah, I'm good off dolls from now on. I'll do my action figures. That's about it.
Yep. Yeah, figures are dope, but no dolls.
Yeah, that's I think finally the last of what I had.
Yeah. Yeah, I got like weird random one-off stuff, but it's not like I saw an apparition or anything. It's like I just heard something or something was pushed off of a desk or something like that. Like you clearly pushed, not like, oh, it's a pile of shit and it falls off. No, I mean like clearly pushed off, but that's it. That's all.
Have you guys seen those videos online where like it'll be like a security camera and you'll see like somebody who's just standing there talking to thin air?
Yep.
And they're having like a serious conversation. And like the other person at the other end will be like, yo, dude, who are you talking to? And they'll be like, oh, I'm talking to this guy. I'm talking to this lady. Yep. And then they're told like, you're alone. Do you think that's ever happened to you?
Oh, Christ.
Because for me, the closest that would be is the kid in the purple shirt. Because I would see him. He's clearly there. And then when I try to show someone else, he's not there.
I don't know. I don't know if that would have ever happened to me.
That's the thing, is you're not gonna know unless someone like is watching you on camera or like sees you having the conversation and is like, who you talking to? you know, I've actually seen one where a welder, he's on camera and shows them just like having a conversation with someone. You can tell he's talking to someone and he knows them. That's what you see here. And then it's like, the security guard actually walked down from his office to go talk to the guy, and the guy was just about to get back to work, and he was like, who are you talking to? And it turned out he was talking to a guy that just the day before had worked, but then got in a car accident on the way home and passed away.
Oh. Yeah, so when I've seen people talking to like nobody like that before, it always seems to be someone who died very recently. Every single time I've seen something like that on a video, it's always someone who's died recently. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah, like there's a construction site one where this dude's supposed to be pushing this big
oh yeah,
the wheel that has like the wire on it or the cabling, and it weighs a ton. Like a literal
more than a ton, actually. It's multiple tons.
So you only get to see the last part of it. But basically he said he was trying to push this and he was having trouble. And then this other guy came up who was dressed like he was doing the job and asked him if he needed help. And he was like, yeah, if you could help me. And he's able to push it by himself. And he's like, okay, yeah. So he's walking alongside of it, kind of like just keeping one hand on it, just making sure it stays in line. And that's what you see when he comes on a camera, is he's just by himself, barely touching this thing, and it's moving. And then it stops. And he turns around to thank the guy, and he's like, just can't find anybody. And they're reviewing the camera, and he tells the person, like, yeah, there was somebody here. This is what he looked like. And then, yeah, they go through the records and find out that he died like a week ago or so.
Yeah, and he used to work there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's creepy, dude.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be the most mind-boggling thing to experience.
Yeah, well, especially because of the movie. That one in particular is wild because those spools are absurdly heavy. It's those are like, if that thing lost control, it's going through a building before it stops. Like, you do not move those things. So that one was crazy to see.
Yeah. Yep. Now, what about possession? Do you guys believe in possession?
No, not personally.
I've never seen this, myself in my life. I've seen all the videos, and some of it does seem like it could be believable, but it's one of those, I'd have to see it for myself, to actually believe it type of thing.
Yeah, because I'd say the experience with my grandpa and his eyes turning black and looking like he was pissed off for like one step. That I partially believe in it. I really don't know what happened, but that's the best, I guess, conclusion I can come to, that he was possessed for like 2 seconds.
The only reason I'm so averse to the idea of possession is just because of the history of it and how it's been used as a catch-all for, like just torture people with actual mental health stuff. Yeah. But like, if it's like that case, I think like if we're talking about that as in possession, then possibly. Yeah. I think it's possible.
Yeah. Like something, you just happen to step through something and you like got possessed for like an instant.
Yeah, like something comes over you and then goes,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not like all movie status where they're like heads spinning around.
Yeah, no.
Too much.
No, it's like usually it's just schizophrenic people who are just like, and with that and other things who are just left totally untreated and they're tortured by the church, and then everybody pats himself on the back.
Yeah. That's the way you do it.
Yeah, that's how you treat mental illness, man.
Yep. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Nope, I'm good.
No, I think that's all my personal stuff. At least that I can remember.
Then let's talk about something fun. So we watched a movie. So apparently this movie has 2 different names, and I didn't know that till I was pulling this up. The way that we looked it up was The Last Ghost Hunters. But apparently it's also known as Greek Fire Demon Spirit, which I don't know which name I like better. I don't think I like either of them.
It sounds like a bad anime.
Yeah. But this movie, when I picked it, it was because it had at least somewhat decent reviews. It's a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb. And it was free on on Amazon Prime, so might as well. But yeah, so I thought it was going to be more like Blair Witch Project status, where they're like walking around, you're barely seeing the actual actors, you're just seeing it more like Ghost Hunter documentary style.
Yeah.
But they tried that at times, but then again, they also forgot they were doing that and did it like a regular movie, which is very confusing. But yeah, it's about this group of 3 ghost hunters that go into this haunted house where basically it was a family of 3, dad, mom, and little girl. And the dad was a complete psychopath. He killed people, ended up killing his family in the end. And he like collected body parts and whatnot and stored them in the house, which is psychotic. But Yeah, this was a movie. It was a thing. It was film.
I wouldn't even call it that. No, this is a steaming pile of shit. That's really like we've watched a lot of bad movies through this whole experience. How about however many shows? What show is this? Like
22.
Yeah, we've watched 22 movies for this so far. A lot of them have been terrible. A couple of them have been surprisingly good. I think this is the newest worst movie that we've watched, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I told Amazon like, no, I did not like this movie, like at all.
I don't get how someone could have watched this movie and given it like 3.5 stars. Like, what did you like? Were you dropped? What have you taken like traumatic head damage at some point? Like, how? I don't know, man. I don't understand how someone could give this any stars. I don't even want to give it the time of day, man. Like when I started watching it, like dedicated watching it, because I like to, when I watch these movies, I want to actually just sit there and watch the movie. But within about like 10 minutes, I'm like, no, I'm just going to play a video game while I watch to it. Oh my God, dude. If I didn't do that, I don't think I would have made it to the show here tonight. I would have been, there would have been a funeral tomorrow.
Yeah, it was. I definitely do not recommend watching this, even for like fun. There's nothing enjoyable about it. The acting is like the main girl might have tried some, but that's like she kind of tried.
There was like 2 actors in the movie that were like, okay, you could kind of act, but
yeah.
Everybody else was like, who are you related to on the set? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how did you get here?
Thought we're going positive. Yeah. Can't go positive with this one.
No.
Yeah. It's a very, very sadly just terrible movie. I won't give anything a 0. I don't believe in zeros. It gets a 1.
Oh, you know what? Here's the thing. I think at the end of the movie, here's one positive thing. At the end of the movie, they either burnt the set down.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
They had footage of a house that was the exact house that they happened to be filming in that burnt down at some point. So like it was a real fire. They legitimately burnt the house down. So that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, that's where the whole budget went. That makes sense.
Yep.
Like not even like 50, 70, no, like 99.9% of the budget went to that scene. So that was cool. And for that, I will give it a 1.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the story is nonsense. The acting's not great. The CG, I understand this was like indie film, so like I'm not really gonna knock it too hard, but it was I think they used Canva to make some of their backgrounds. Yeah, it was all sorts of bad.
Oh, dude, the whole like, what got me was when the main chick, she was like, "I'm gonna cast a spell." I'm like, when did this turn into a D&D movie? Like I thought, like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. That's all I can say about that. It was a movie. We're going to go ahead. Yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to the SCP, which is going to be a 2-parter today. They're both pretty short, but yeah, you got the honors of doing that one.
Okay, let's. I have my pants down. Hold on.
Where'd you go? Birds don't wear pants.
I'm in the movie, man. All right. How do I do this? I'm blanking out. There we go. Present. All right. Share screen. Let's go to entire screen. Get ready for some trippy stuff. And there we go. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Is it big enough?
Yeah.
I think I'm still at like 250 or whatever. But all right. So we've got SCP-2176. And its object class is safe, which doesn't necessarily mean safe. It may mean we just can't do anything about it. And we'll go into the description. The description is SCP-2176 is a brand of anomalous light bulbs developed by Titan Consumer Appliances and Electronics, originally marketed under the name, quote, Ghost Light, TM, quote. The outward appearance of SCP-2176 brand light bulbs resembles that of non-anomalous fluorescent light bulbs sold for household use. However, their operating principles are analogous to those of an incandescent lamp, which uses an electric current to heat a tungsten filament, so a light. A similar process is used in SCP-2176 bulbs, with the tungsten filament replaced by a high-density ectoplasm, oh boy, solution consisting of ectomorphs. What is an ectomorph? Hold on. What is this? Ectomorphs are anomalous entities composed of ectoplasm, sometimes created by the death of a living organism. In less clinical language, they're often called ghosts. Okay. So in order to prevent ectoplasm leakage from the bulb, a serious issue, the interior surface is treated with an ectoproof coating. Documents and testimony taken from TCAE representatives show that the ectoplasm used in SCP-2176 was sourced from a number of third-party suppliers, primarily the group of interest known as, quote, the Factory. That's where you're going, then.
Yep.
All right, we'll go into the Factory. Analysis has revealed that factory-supplied ectoplasm consists of Class A and Class B ectomorphs, while ectoplasm sourced under other suppliers consists of Class B, C, and D ectomorphs in varying amounts. It is believed that TCAE was unaware of this fact. TCAE marketed SCP-2176 as a new type of fluorescent light bulb, one which was cheaper, safer, and longer lasting. However, these light bulbs posed a hazard due to the presence of Class A ectomorphs within them. When an SCP-2176 light bulb is shattered, the ectomorphs contained within are released into the surrounding environment. While the Class B, C, and D ectomorphs safely dissipate and disperse when this happens, the Class A ectomorphs remain in the area and cause anomalous events, usually involving electrical malfunctions. Foundation involvement and containment efforts began in 2006, approximately 6 months after TCAE began selling SCP-2176 to consumers, following a rise in the number of household electrocutions. Oh boy. Fun.
Wow.
Once a causal link to SCP-2176 was established, the Foundation was able to convince TCAE to order a recall of the defective bulbs. Subsequent investigation reveals the presence of Class A ectomorphs in approximately 40% of all SCP-2176 light bulbs. Ongoing containment is being performed by MTF MU13, quote, Ghostbusters, through the use of Hoffman portable electrothalamic unit. So it's just the Ghostbusters. Addendum 2176-1. TCAE has since ceased its use of the Factory as a supplier and has agreed to follow Foundation safety standards and marketing guidelines for products containing paratechnology. This is considered a cheaper and more reliable method of maintaining normalcy than forcing TCAE to cease its operations. As part of this agreement, TCAE will also begin supplying the Foundation with certain pieces of necessary paratechnology, starting with paratechnology, starting with improved Kardec counters, which those are devices that use ectoluminescence to detect ectomorphs, so ghost detecting stuff.
Wow. Where is the...
All right. So then let's take a look
at... Making me look at my light bulbs. I've had some of these a while.
All right. right, so we got the factory because I figured they were kind of interesting. The factory is a poorly understood entity or group of entities of indeterminate origin stationed primarily in the Midwestern U.S. and several countries with poor labor laws. It's reported to have been founded in 1835 by UTE 0561 Venice Green, whose current location is unknown. Its management is comprised of ostensibly sapient entities which have yet to be satisfactorily described or photographed. Its structure is no definitive information is available regarding their internal organization at this time. It is believed that the factory operates loosely corresponding with similar non-anomalous corporations. For resources, the factory appears to be self-funded through the sales of various mass-produced anomalies. Standing orders are to engage as soon as possible. Operatives of the factory are to be considered KTEs, response level 3 by default, 4 if actively aggressive. Which, let me get into a part of one of them, which is the Ghostbusters, because they brought it up. And it's basically what you thought it was. They're essentially the Ghostbusters. They're a task force. Mobile Task Force MU-13 specializes in tracking, analysis, and containment of incorporeal or intangible manifestations and entities, particularly those believed to be sentient, sapient, or otherwise intelligent and adaptive. And then they have some action reports, which I thought were kind of cool with their names. They have Action Spilled Milk, which I'm just going to go ahead and look at that one. Yeah, Tasers and Thermites, another one. All right, so Andy, hey mate, it's Chaz. So I got to the MC&D shareholders together for one final board meeting, right? And some were, well, still a tad skeptical of the whole thing. I'm telling you, I haven't had that much difficulty given a pitch since cookery school. Hee hee. What the hell's cookery school? I got a hold of one of the few honoric representatives.
I don't know.
Yeah, honoric. One of the representatives who luckily were more than willing to spin their dreams into a day for us. They'll be able to ease along our partnership with those secretive those Moo fellows. Can't recall their name, sorry. We've been working on the insurance angle. Can't seem to get that sorted out yet, sadly. But I'm telling you, we'll have this all set up within 6, maybe 12 weeks by the latest. Andy, 2025's our bloody year. That's right. Ambrose is setting up shop in the Mindscapes, baby.
What?
Yep. So let's go to the Mindscapes. So, Moosphere. That's
Moosphere.
For more than unknown long ages, Moosphere Incorporated has been a forerunner in surrealistic dairy artisanship.
What?
A feast for more than 30 billion souls and counting. By the fruits of their very spirits, our well-trained honoric confectioners would like to serve you one of our many fresh, ego-shattering delights. Our mouth-watering cuisine is hard-coded in the DNA. We're sure of it. Feed your chakric affirmations. Oh, one.
Facumuligant?
Yeah, whatever that is. For your benefit, Ambrose Restaurant has selected 100 lucky folks from the Freeport's catchment area to come and feast. Join us. Please note the true name listed on your library cards is required to enter. Don't forget to leave a review.
What?
This is Ambrose Mindscapes.
Sure, man. All right.
Yeah, so we got some surrealistic dairy artisanship.
It sounds like it's stuff made with people, so
yeah.
Sure. All right, whatever.
Yeah, for more than unknown long ages. Yep.
Wow.
That was a thing.
What? What is SCP, man?
Drugs.
I feel
So
like
it sounds to me like they make light bulbs and ghosts escape out of the light bulbs and cause electrical problems. Is what that boils
And the
down.
Ghostbusters go out there and catch them. And they repeat the whole thing again.
like when you think of the Ghostbusters, it's them. It's just the Ghostbusters. That was good.
Yep. And that was all we had for today. So again, want to thank David for coming on. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, one day, me and Hawk got to come out there and we got to go camping in these woods.
I'm down.
Oh yeah.
Yo, if we could actually make this a job somehow, and like, dude, that'd be dope.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah. So David McNiner's site or YouTube is linked in the description down below. Go ahead, check him out if you haven't already. I know Steve-O has. But yeah, check out our videos that are coming up. Check out McNiner's Friday shows. The what is it? Jackbox games. Those are hilarious.
Yeah, Jackbox game night. Yeah, this last one we were all kind of off, so we ended it early, but we still played.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But yeah, so thank you everybody for watching, and until next time, take care.
Stay safe.